Another day, another story. On May 7, 1915, less than a year after World War I, 1914-18, erupted across Europe, a German U-boat torpedoed and sank the RMS Lusitania, a British ocean liner en route from New York to Liverpool, England. Of the more than 1,900 passengers and crew members on board, more than 1,100 perished, including more than 120 Americans. Nearly 2 years would pass before the United States formally entered World War I, but the sinking of the Lusitania played a significant role in turning public opinion against Germany, both in the United States and abroad. The sinking of the RMS Lusitania is a significant event in maritime history, particularly during World War I. Here is the full story of the Lusitania. Welcome to Taboo Eminent Channel. Background. The RMS Lusitania was a British ocean liner, one of the fastest and most luxurious ships of its time. It was launched in 1906 and operated by the Cunard Line. The ship was a symbol of British engineering prowess and a source of pride for the nation. World War I. When World War I broke out in 1914, the Lusitania continued its transatlantic voyages between the United States and Britain. At the time, Germany was engaged in unrestricted submarine warfare, targeting any ship, including civilian vessels, that entered certain war zones around the British Isles. Sinking of the Lusitania. On May 7, 1915, the Lusitania was en route from New York to Liverpool. As it approached the coast of Ireland, it entered waters known to be patrolled by German submarines. The German U-boat U-20, commanded by Captain Walther Schwieger, spotted the Lusitania and fired a torpedo. The torpedo struck the ship near the forward magazine, causing a massive explosion. The Lusitania sank in just 18 minutes, and of the 1,959 people on board, 1,198 perished, including 128 Americans. The sinking of the Lusitania shocked the world and intensified anti-German sentiment, particularly in the United States. Controversy. The sinking of the Lusitania fueled controversy and debate. Germany argued that the ship was carrying munitions, making it a legitimate target, while the British maintained that it was a civilian vessel. The controversy deepened when it was revealed that the Lusitania did indeed carry a significant amount of ammunition and military-related cargo. Impact. The sinking of the Lusitania had profound consequences. While it did not immediately bring the United States into World War I, it contributed to the growing sentiment against Germany. The event played a role in shaping public opinion and influencing the U.S. decision to enter the war in 1917. Aftermath. The sinking of the Lusitania had lasting effects on maritime warfare. It highlighted the vulnerability of civilian ships in times of war and led to changes in naval tactics. The incident also contributed to the eventual shift in public opinion that influenced the United States' decision to join the Allies in World War I. In conclusion, the sinking of the RMS Lusitania was a tragic event that played a part in shaping the course of World War I and had a lasting impact on international relations and maritime warfare. Prelude to Lusitania. Germany announces unrestricted submarine warfare. When World War I erupted in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson, 1856-1924, pledged neutrality for the United States, a position that the vast majority of Americans favored. Britain, however, was one of America's closest trading partners, and tension soon arose between the United States and Germany over the latter's attempted quarantine of the British Isles. Several U.S. ships traveling to Britain were damaged or sunk by German mines, and in February 1915 Germany announced unrestricted submarine warfare in the waters around Britain. In early May 1915, several New York newspapers published a warning by the German embassy in Washington, D.C., that Americans traveling on British or Allied ships in war zones did so at their own risk. The announcement was placed on the same page as an advertisement of the imminent sailing of the Lusitania liner from New York back to Liverpool. The sinkings of merchant ships off the south coast of Ireland prompted the British Admiralty to warn the Lusitania to avoid the area or take simple evasive action, such as zigzagging to confuse U-boats plotting the vessel's course. The Lusitania sinks, May 7, 1915. The captain of the Lusitania ignored the British Admiralty's recommendations, and at 2:12 p.m. on May 7, the 32,000-ton ship was hit by an exploding torpedo on its starboard side. The torpedo blast was followed by a larger explosion, probably of the ship's boilers, and the ship sank off the south coast of Ireland in less than 20 minutes. It was revealed that the Lusitania was carrying about 173 tons of war munitions for Britain, which the Germans cited as further justification for the attack. The United States eventually protested the action, and Germany apologized and pledged to end unrestricted submarine warfare. However, in November of that same year, a U-boat sunk an Italian liner without warning, killing more than 270 people, including more than 25 Americans. Public opinion in the United States began to turn irrevocably against Germany. Pre-war context. 1. Naval warfare tactics. At the outset of World War I, Germany declared unrestricted submarine warfare, targeting both military and civilian vessels around British waters. The German strategy aimed to cut off supplies to Britain and force a swift victory before other nations could mobilize. The Lusitania's final voyage. Warnings and advertisements. 1. Prior to its final voyage, the German embassy in the United States took out newspaper advertisements warning passengers about the dangers of traveling on Allied ships. 2. The British Admiralty issued warnings, advising ships to steer clear of areas where submarines were known to be active. Cargo controversy. 1. It later emerged that the Lusitania was carrying a significant amount of munitions and military equipment, which added to the controversy surrounding the sinking. 2. The presence of such cargo provided Germany with a rationale for targeting the ship, as it argued that it was a legitimate military target. After the torpedo. Rapid sinking. 1. The torpedo hit the Lusitania on the starboard side, causing a secondary explosion that accelerated the ship's sinking. 2. Chaos ensued as passengers and crew struggled to evacuate, and lifeboats were launched hastily. Rescue efforts. 1. Rescue efforts were hampered by the rapid sinking and the lack of sufficient lifeboats for all passengers. 2. The nearby town of Cobh, then Queenstown, played a crucial role in rescue operations, with local boats and residents assisting in the recovery of survivors and bodies. International response. Outrage and diplomacy. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania caused outrage around the world, particularly in the United States. 2. Despite the loss of American lives, President Woodrow Wilson initially maintained a policy of neutrality, attempting to mediate a peaceful resolution to the conflict. Shift in U.S. public opinion. 1. The sinking, combined with other factors, gradually shifted public opinion in the United States against Germany. 2. The event became a rallying point for those advocating U.S. intervention in the war. Legacy. War propaganda. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania was used extensively in Allied propaganda to garner support for the war effort. 2. Posters and media highlighted the tragedy to evoke emotions and build anti-German sentiment. Impact on submarine warfare. 1. The sinking influenced the conduct of submarine warfare. 1. Germany, fearing the entry of the U.S. into the war, scaled back its unrestricted submarine campaign temporarily. Legal ramifications. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania, among other incidents, contributed to the shaping of post-war treaties and conventions regarding the treatment of civilians in maritime warfare. The sinking of the Lusitania remains a complex and controversial event, emblematic of the challenges and moral ambiguities associated with total warfare and the targeting of civilian vessels during conflicts. Conspiracy theories. 1. Allegations of British plot. Some conspiracy theories suggested that the British deliberately exposed the Lusitania to a U-boat attack to draw the United States into the war. While there is no credible evidence supporting such claims, they have persisted over the years. Legal and political repercussions. Legal aftermath. 1. After the war, the German government was held partially responsible for the sinking. 1. In 1918, Germany agreed to pay reparations to the surviving victims and the families of those who perished. 2. The sinking was also addressed in the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, which formally ended World War I. Impact on U.S. entry into the war. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania significantly influenced U.S. public opinion, but it was not the sole factor in the decision to enter the war. 2. President Woodrow Wilson faced challenges in maintaining a neutral stance, especially as Germany resumed unrestricted submarine warfare in 1917. Salvage operations and exploration. Salvage attempts. 1. In the years following the sinking, there were attempts to salvage valuable materials from the wreckage, including the ship's brass propellers. 2. Salvage operations were challenging due to the depth of the wreck and the deterioration of the ship. Robert Ballard's exploration. 1. In 1993, renowned oceanographer Robert Ballard, who discovered the Titanic, led an expedition to explore the Lusitania's wreckage. 2. The expedition provided new insights into the ship's condition and confirmed the presence of ammunition in the cargo hold. Cultural impact. Artistic representations. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania has been depicted in various forms of art, literature, and film, contributing to its cultural significance. 2. Artists and writers have explored the tragedy and its implications on a broader scale. Memorials and commemorations. 1. Memorials exist in several locations, including the Old Head of Kinsale in Ireland, where the ship sank. 1. These serve as reminders of the lives lost and the impact of the event. Historical legacy. Lessons learned. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania prompted nations to re-evaluate the rules of engagement in naval warfare and consider the protection of civilian lives during conflicts. Shift in maritime regulations. 1. The incident contributed to the development of international laws and conventions regarding the treatment of civilian vessels during wartime, particularly the protection of non-combatants. The sinking of the RMS Lusitania remains a multifaceted and historically significant event, sparking ongoing discussions and reflections on the complexities of war, international relations, and maritime ethics. Espionage and intelligence. Role of Room 40. 1. British naval intelligence, known as Room 40, had intercepted German naval codes and messages. 1. The British were aware of the potential threat to the Lusitania. 2. Some historians argue that British authorities, including Winston Churchill, may have had intelligence suggesting an impending attack but chose not to provide sufficient warning to the ship. The Zimmermann Telegram. 1. In 1917, the British intercepted the Zimmermann Telegram, a secret diplomatic communication from Germany to Mexico. 1. The telegram proposed a military alliance between Germany and Mexico if the United States entered the war against Germany. 2. The revelation of this telegram further fueled anti-German sentiment in the United States and contributed to the decision to declare war. Legal and diplomatic ramifications. Post-war trials. 1. After World War I, individuals involved in the sinking of the Lusitania were not prosecuted as war criminals. 2. The legal aftermath focused more on reparations and diplomatic negotiations rather than criminal trials. Diplomatic tensions. 1. The sinking strained diplomatic relations between the United States and Germany. 1. The German government attempted to justify its actions, arguing that the Lusitania was a legitimate military target. 2. The diplomatic fallout played a role in the United States moving closer to entering the war on the side of the Allies. Technological and tactical developments. Anti-submarine warfare tactics. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania highlighted the vulnerability of large, fast civilian ships to submarine attacks. 2. In response, naval powers developed anti-submarine warfare tactics and technologies, including improved sonar and depth charges. Evolution of submarine warfare. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania led to changes in how submarines were employed in warfare. 1. The German decision to temporarily limit unrestricted submarine warfare was influenced by the international condemnation following the Lusitania incident. Human stories and survivor accounts. Eyewitness accounts. 1. Numerous survivors of the Lusitania provided harrowing accounts of the sinking, describing the chaos and terror as the ship rapidly descended into the sea. 2. These personal stories contribute to the human dimension of the tragedy. Impact on passengers and crew. 1. The sinking had a profound impact on the lives of the survivors, many of whom suffered physically and emotionally from the experience. 2. Families of those who perished faced grief and loss, with some becoming advocates for justice and accountability. Commemoration and memorials. Lusitania Memorials. 1. Various memorials exist to honor the victims of the Lusitania, including plaques, monuments, and ceremonies in places such as Liverpool, Cobh, and the Old Head of Kinsale. 2. These memorials serve as reminders of the human cost of war and maritime tragedies. Legacy in popular culture. 1. The sinking of the Lusitania has inspired numerous works of fiction, non-fiction, and artistic expressions, further embedding its legacy in popular culture. The sinking of the RMS Lusitania remains a complex historical event with implications ranging from intelligence and diplomacy to technological developments and personal narratives. The various dimensions of this tragedy continue to captivate historians, researchers, and the public alike. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.